All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to take a trip to a place that gets millions of digital visitors a year. It's got its own flag, a whole backstory, even a surprisingly high rate of Segway ownership. The only weird part? It doesn't actually exist. So let's just start with this question, because it kind of sounds like a riddle, right? What is the most visited place on Earth that isn't even there? Well, the answer pulls back the curtain on a really fascinating quirk of our digital world. And here it is. The answer is a fictional spot that goes by the name Null Island. Now, you can't book a flight there, but believe me, it is an incredibly busy hub for digital traffic. So let's dive in. First, we're going to explore the very strange, sort of fictional life of this super busy, non-existent place. Despite being nothing but open ocean, Null Island is just a beehive of digital data. I mean, people are constantly accidentally geotagging their vacation photos here. At one point, you could find over 300 Airbnb listings for it. There are even these wild stories of pizza orders from Bangkok getting misrouted to this exact spot in the middle of the Atlantic. Okay, so if this place is such a hotspot online, where is it supposed to be on an actual map? Well, geographically, it's not an island at all. It's the exact spot where our planet's two most important reference lines, the Equator and the Prime Meridian, cross paths. It is, quite literally, the 0, point for our entire global coordinate system. You'll find this spot way out in the international waters of the Atlantic Ocean. It is, and I mean this literally, in the middle of nowhere. The closest piece of land is a tiny little islet that belongs to Ghana, and that's about 570 kilometers away. So what's actually there? Sandy beaches? Palm trees? Nope. What you've got is nearly 5 kilometers of ocean water. The seabed itself is almost 5,000 meters straight down. For years, the only physical object at this precise location was a single weather buoy, and its name was Soul. Yes, like the music genre. It was part of this huge scientific network collecting ocean data, anchored by a cable all the way to the seabed. That is, until it was decommissioned back in March of 2021. Okay, so if it's just empty ocean, why on earth does so much digital information end up here? I mean, how does this even happen? It pretty much all comes down to this common computer process called geocoding. So say you enter an address, but you have a typo in it. The system can't find a match. Well, instead of just giving an error, a lot of systems will default the coordinates to a null value. And for many computers, null gets interpreted as the number 0. 0 latitude, 0 longitude. Boom, you're on Null Island. And check this out. This shows the problem perfectly. On the left, you've got a set of data points that are correctly mapped in the city of Calgary. But on the right, you see that exact same data. It even keeps its shape. But because a mapping system misinterpreted it, it gets dumped right next to Null Island. But here's where the story gets really, really interesting. This technical glitch wasn't just seen as a problem to be fixed. No, the mapping community actually embraced it and gave it this whole life of its own. It all started as an inside joke. A data analyst named Steve Pellegrin came up with the name Null Island. But then, around 2011, it became kind of semi-official when this big mapping project, Natural Earth, added it to their dataset, specifically as a tool to help developers catch these kinds of errors. And you gotta love the official description. It's got this little wink and a nod to the whole thing. It's defined as a tiny 1 square meter island with a special code that basically tells any map software, hey, whatever you do, please never actually show this to a user. And of course, the internet did what the internet does best. It took the joke and just ran with it. A whole fictional culture was created for the Republic of Null Island. I'm talking a website, a population of 4,000 software engineers, a quirky flag that was supposedly designed around the male population's colorblindness, and, for some reason, the world's highest per capita ownership of Segways. So, okay, it's a fun inside joke for data geeks, but what's the big deal? Why should we actually care about a fake island that was created by a computer glitch? Well, because Null Island is this perfect, brilliant example of turning a bug into a feature. It actually serves a surprisingly important purpose for anyone who works with geographic data. Think of it as a digital dumping ground. Instead of all these errors being scattered randomly and being impossible to find, they all get sent to this one obvious, frankly ridiculous location in the middle of the ocean. And that makes it incredibly easy for developers and data scientists to spot the bad data, filter it out, and clean up their systems. So, in the end, Null Island is just this fascinating meeting point, isn't it? It's where a technical error evolves into a piece of internet lore, a kind of cultural landmark, and a genuinely useful tool, all at the exact same time. Which really leaves us with this one final, kind of fascinating question. In a world that's being built more and more on data, if a place exists in our digital maps, in our software, and even in our jokes, what makes it any less real? Thanks for watching.